Yeah, so thank you for doing this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. My pleasure.
So just say your name, where you're
hmm
from, and where you went to bartending school,
Yeah,
and a little bit about yourself.
cool. Well, my name is Dominic Pagliaro. I'm from Sandy Hook, Connecticut, and I went right here to the Bartenders School, so Bartenders Academy here in Fairfield. A little bit about me: I am an actor just out of college, and with the pandemic and everything going on, I was not able to do what I wanted to do at the moment. So I decided to invest my time and effort into learning the new skill of bartending. And
Fantastic.
yeah.
Fantastic. So what was the experience like here at the school? Like what'd you do? What'd you
Mm.
learn? Did you know any bartending before? Had you ever bartended before?
At a few college parties. And that's
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
And that's not saying much either.
Yeah.
So my experience with bartending was kind of non-existent. But I took the course that was kind of the hybrid online and in person, 4 weeks here at the Bartenders Academy. And really, through those 4 weeks, I felt that I learned everything I needed to know to throw myself into the fire, so to speak, and start bartending. It was a incredibly comprehensive education in terms of learning the different types of liquors, learning different techniques to creating cocktails, kind of learning what goes together, what doesn't go together. And it's also difficult to know that until you actually do it and then taste it. So that's something that I'm now doing after the fact is like I'll go to the liquor store, buy something I've never seen before, but have heard about either you kind of recommend or another friend who I'm bartending with now recommends, and try it out and see where I can kind of fit it into the canon of drinks, so to speak. But it's been a really neat use of my time. It was a fantastic way for me to kind of feel like I had accomplished something after everything, in a sense, had been taken away for
hmm
me. I think it really has opened up a lot of doors that I never thought I was going to open.
Yeah, no,
So,
and I can definitely attest to the fact that you put a lot of work into taking this. You treated it like a profession, which
mhm.
which it is.
Yeah, at
Which,
the end of the day, it's your job, and I feel that if you want to be good at anything, you have to invest the time and the effort into it, and whether that means doing all the work thoroughly, taking notes, practicing at home with water and empty Jameson bottles. Whatever works for you will work for you. But at the end of the day, you still have to do it. So,
fantastic,
mhm.
fantastic. Well, so I want to talk to you about something else. So we're both wearing masks right now, right? I know
Yes.
people can't see me, but they can see you. And people are like, "There's no way, all the bars are shut down. There's no bartending work." You basically started this journey before the pandemic hit, a few months before the pandemic hit, and
hmm
then boom. So what was it like? I mean, did you end up getting a job? Do you work
Yeah.
now? Like,
Well, actually, I didn't start in food service
yeah,
until like mid-pandemic. So March was when everything really started to go downhill.
yeah,
Graduated in May, and then was kind of had this period where I didn't know what I was going to do.
yeah.
I moved out of my house in Indiana where I went to school, came back home, was like, oh boy, home after college. This is the story that they warned me about, um, and just tried to figure out, what can I do now? What is
Mhm.
something that I can invest my time in, and that I'm gonna most importantly enjoy doing, and kind of popped in my head bartending. It's a way for me to interact with people and also make things. I love making things, whether it's music, cooking, carpentry, whatever it is that I can create something. That's what I like to
You
do.
are a world class gentleman, sir.
Thank you.
Everybody says
Tip of the cap.
that. Exactly. You got the outfit too. Uh,
So,
so yeah, where'd you end up finding a bartending home?
yeah. So
One
I,
or multiple?
well, I started as a dishwasher back in September,
Mhm.
and then was able to find a job doing some bartending, not true bartending right off the bat, but
Mhm.
like food running, starting to learn the menu
Mhm.
at Sala Pepe, a contemporary Italian bistro in Newtown.
Okay.
And now I am the bartender there, and I also wait a few tables because they have a little bar table area.
Mhm.
They don't have any seats at the bar at the moment
Yeah.
due to COVID,
Yeah.
and I mean everyone's wearing masks. The tables are 6 feet
But you're
apart.
making the drinks.
But I'm making the drinks. I'm taking the tables. I'm meeting the people.
Okay.
You know, I'm doing everything that would be involved in a bartending job. And thanks to you, through some networking, I also was able to get the job at Bottega, which is a new restaurant that opened down in Bethel, kind of close to the Danbury line. And so I'm also working there.
So two bartending jobs.
Two bartending jobs. So if people tell you that the bars are closed, it's like the true bars, like just bars, are not really getting as much business, but some of the more hybrid, you know, the restaurant has a bar or it's like part bar, part restaurant, those are still open, still following COVID protocols, and there's still opportunity there.
Well, that's the whole thing too. Like, you know, we'll put COVID-19 politics aside.
Mm-hmm.
The people in the bar industry are following protocols. They're doing the extra cleaning. They're maintaining the social distance.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing as best they can to say, hey, we're trying to create a safe environment, a safe atmosphere for our guests.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I guess after healthcare workers, the bar industry is the next group of people who are busting their butts to make sure that within their ability, they're making a safe and they're making an environment that's safe for people to go out and
I think
enjoy.
the bar and restaurant and food service in general, because that's a very large portion of I mean, that's probably not the right way to phrase it, but for a lot of people, that's their livelihood.
Mhm.
That's their small business that
Absolutely.
they're running.
Yeah.
And as I'm sure you and I know and everybody else does, small businesses have been taking a massive hit due to the economic crisis.
With COVID, yep.
And so it's important for these restaurants to do all of that, to follow the protocols, to continue to work hard, because as we've already seen, so many places have shut down with uncertainty that they'll reopen.
Absolutely.
And that can be difficult for a lot of people, especially if this restaurant has been a staple in the town or in the state for years and years and years.
Absolutely.
For one fell swoop to kind of just knock it out of the ball game, that can be really difficult for a community in general. And so I think as this, you know, because we're going to still be wearing these, I think, for a good few months, if not longer. So moving forward, I think it's so important to acknowledge that, yes, while there is still a risk with interacting with anyone, there are protocols being taken and the utmost dedication towards making sure that the restaurant and the bar and everyone who is working for them is doing their best to serve and make sure that their guests are safe.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, I have a lot of friends in the industry, and they're saying the exact same thing. They say, "Hey, our industry needs support, but we are still open, still come out." And people are showing love. At least that's what they tell me. You know, they're showing love when they're tipping and they're being, you know, thoughtful for the most part.
And a lot of people are doing takeout.
Yep.
Too, which has accounted for a large portion of the sales.
Yep.
Because some people just aren't comfortable going into a restaurant, and that's okay. I mean, you are completely entitled to do so.
Exactly. And you're still supporting the you're still supporting the restaurant.
You're still supporting, and you know, thank you to everyone who is doing that, because it enables people like me and hundreds and thousands of other people, if not millions across the country, to continue to be employed in this time where so many don't have that opportunity.
Absolutely. So I want to circle back to something that you just said. So a lot of people are like, hey, you need experience to bartend, this, that, and the other. You started out, you know, dishwashing and then serving a little bit. You know, with the kind of connection we had, that was kind of more directly to bartending.
Yeah.
But I want to focus on the serving and the kind of the helper roles for just a moment. There are a lot of people who dishwash. There are a lot of people who serve. There are a lot of people who do these auxiliary functions that support the bar. What do you think it was about you and kind of your background and what you were bringing to the table that you said, you know what, it's worth it for us to put you behind the bar as a new bartender? Because you only did that for You didn't do that for a long period of time.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't. I think that there is a merit to, hard work begets reward.
Yep.
And if you are actively putting yourself out there and actively working to make yourself better,
Yep.
and if you set your goal as, hey, I want to bartend,
Yep.
even if I have to start dishwashing. And that's not to say that dishwashing is lower than bartending, because at the end of the day, every single part in the restaurant functions together as a whole.
Absolutely.
I mean, you cannot have a successful evening if your dishwasher is not there. If the kitchen gets backed up, everyone else is screwed.
Absolutely.
And so while I felt like it was best for me to get some experience in the kitchen, other people, like owners, said, you need to do this. And I think the reason for that is because they want you to understand that concept of how everything works together. If you do not understand that the bar is not the most important thing, then you're not going to understand kind of the restaurant business as a whole.
Absolutely. Everything is connected.
Be even though sometimes you are the focus in a way, because a lot of people look at the bar and look to the bar as like the staple of a restaurant. You have to understand that everyone else who is helping you, your bar back who's getting you ice, you can't do the night if you don't have that ice. The people who are washing your dishes or taking the plates that you bus back, you're not going to be able to continue to do your job unless they do their job.
Absolutely. I remember when I first started bartending, I worked with some bartenders that kind of poo-pooed and didn't treat the bar backs and the bussers and the dishwasher. They didn't treat the support staff well because they felt they were celebrities behind the bar. And I tell you, when push came to shove and it was like we were jammed and we ran out of ice or bottles, I was getting my stuff first because I knew the people's names. I knew that if they had kids or not. I knew about their families. Not all of them spoke English, and I tried to speak to them in their language. They taught me a few words. I was really connecting with them. So, no, what you're saying is right on point about like everybody has a role here. We're all equal. We're all in the same team. Let's switch gears to when you were.
And if I can chime in
absolutely.
one more thing, I think it's also you need to find an environment where you are going to be invested in. If you bring yourself to a restaurant and say, hey, I would like to be a bartender, and while it's like, I won't say settle for less, but while you may say, well, they have an opportunity here, but I am looking for someone at the bar. Go put in the hard work, and if it doesn't work out, that's okay, because at the end of the day, you want to have that relationship with the place you work and the people that work there that make it an enjoyable experience for you. And if someone really wants you to be a bartender, if the owner of the restaurant likes what you're putting forward and likes the energy that you're bringing, chances are you're going to work your way up to be able to be behind that bar. Exactly. And sometimes it will happen a lot sooner than you think.
So you're interesting. You have an interesting experience because you had one experience where you literally had to start at the entry level as a dishwasher, and then on the other hand, through some relationships that we had, you went in right as a bartender. So what was that like going into a new environment as a bartender off gate? They didn't know anything about you, and I mean, you had a couple months of experience, but as doing the non-bartender roles,
for sure.
But you had no bartending experience. So how was that stepping into? You said it was Bottega, right?
Yes.
So how was it stepping in there?
I remember I went over my note cards thoroughly. Make sure
from bartending school.
Exactly, from Bartenders Academy. I said, what is every drink that I learned? Make sure I know it like the back of my hand. And then even going into one bar versus another, everyone does things differently.
Absolutely.
So you have to be able to adapt and understand that my way is not the highway. My way is what I learned. And now I'm going to someone else and they're going to teach me something different. I'm going to see if it works for me or not. I'm not going, especially as someone they don't know, like doing a trial day. You don't want to force your way onto them because
I know everything.
This person is going to be terrible to work with. So you have to be open to. I mean, I remember when we use here the glass pints in the shaker, and I went there and they just used the small tin, large tin to shake all the drinks, and I was like, I don't know how to do this. And so I just gave it my best shot.
Yeah.
But I wasn't going to be like, do you have a pint glass that I can use to mix these?
Yeah.
So it's and I think that also helps for if you are in a situation in the middle of a shift where you need to kind of think up something on the fly, then you're able to do that. You're able to see what you have around you. Make sure the bar has a good mise en place. That's total separate.
What is mise en place, sir?
Mise en place
for the people.
is just kind of like the organization of what's around you. It is knowing, okay, without even having to look, I know exactly where everything is because I put it there.
Yep.
And it enables you to be more efficient with your work.
Absolutely.
So
Thanks for
everything in its place.
Thank you for the French, the mini French lesson.
No problem.
Awesome. So you're at this bar. It's a different type of place from your other bartending job where you're at now. And just looking forward, I remember when you first met, there was a small economic component to it, and there was a larger kind of something fulfilling component.
Yes.
For you is what you'd shared with us when we first met. But would you say that, and you don't have to get too personal, into the details, and I would encourage you just to be general. But are you able to kind of take care of your economic kind of needs with what's happening now between having these both jobs and working all this time?
Yeah. I mean, I'm making money. I have a job. It is by no means what I had expected to be doing after college, but and I also have the benefit of being able to live with my parents right now, so I don't have to pay rent. But I still have enough to feel comfortable, and I can put some into savings for when I do want to make that next step in my life once we're able to move forward from the coronavirus.
Oh my gosh, that's the biggest thing I try and share with my new bartenders. If you have expenses of a certain amount, take care of them first. But if you can save, it will change your life. I remember interviewing one of our instructors a few years ago, and she was dating somebody that she probably shouldn't have. Her words, not mine. And she just calculated how much money she wasted on just doing silly things and dropping money, mostly because of that relationship. And she could have bought a house.
Oh, geez.
But because she just didn't save, right?
Yeah.
And so, or a deposit for a house, rather. But yeah, no, you're right on point about being smart about your money. But you can generate something where you can finance, and take care of your needs.
And if I want to go out to a different restaurant, I'm able to do that.
Yeah.
And not necessarily feel bad about it, or like, this is really hurting my wallet.
Absolutely. Now, do you work with other bartenders at Bottega that have a few more years of experience than you do?
Absolutely.
Do any of them have families?
I don't. So when I do work, it's just me for the whole day.
So you're a new bartender and you're spearheading the ship.
Yes.
You're leading the ship
I
a trendy, fairly, nice scale restaurant.
Yeah.
And you're brand new.
Yes.
My man. Well done. Well done.
So and I'm incredibly grateful for that opportunity because I think it was just a little bit of luck and a little bit of who you know, and
the third part,
time was right.
Yeah, and during Corona pandemic, the time was still right.
Yes.
But there's the other element that there's the man in the mirror, right? Like I said at the top of our our interview, you treated this as a profession. You kind of, and I'm a little biased, but it's kind of hard not to fall in love with the different creative aspects of bartending and the people that you meet.
Absolutely.
But you definitely took that approach. I guess what words of advice would you give to someone who's on the fence about should they bartend now? Is this a good time to learn or get in?
Yeah.
Yeah, what would be kind of your parting, words of wisdom or nugget that you would give them? I'm putting you on the spot here.
Yeah, no. Hmm. I think that, and I can't take credit for this phrase because I saw it on social media the other day, but it said, like procrastination, or the result of procrastination is the life that you never knew, or something like that. And I noticed it in my aimless scrolling of one of the things that was like, wow, I've never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
The things that you could do tomorrow, why wait to do them tomorrow when you can do them today? Because the reality of it is, the longer you wait to do something, the less it will be in your system, and the less kind of subconsciously you'll also be in that headspace of thinking about it and learning more about it. And even if you're 30 and you want to start bartending, you don't have to go from a beginner to a pro in 6 months. At the end of the day, you have to be ready to say, okay, I'm going to go on this journey. I don't know how long this journey is going to take, but A, I'm excited to go on it, and B, I'm ready to go on it. And I think those are the most important things to think about if you're new, you are kind of on the fence about, should I do it now, should I not? I promise you that even after your first day of classes, if Bartenders Academy is where you do choose to go learn, and I highly recommend it.
I didn't pay you to say that.
It's totally free. Is that you will go home and you will already start to be thinking like a bartender. I think that's the one thing I appreciated most about the courses that I took here, besides physically learning how to do everything and then understanding the ins and outs, was I started to think like a bartender. And if you start to think like a bartender, then you'll go to a restaurant and you'll taste a drink and you'll be like, oh, I wonder what's in this drink, or what could I also add to this drink to make it even better, or what is, what's in the presentation of the drink that makes it so cool. And then whether it's for your profession or your personal life, you can go home and like, I think bartending is such a neat skill to have, whether you want to do it professionally or not, because you could be a home enthusiast bartender and make drinks for your friends, and your friends will love you for it, because it will be way cheaper than going out to a bar. They still want you to come to the bars, but you need to figure out what your niche is, and if you're, regardless of where it is, I don't think you're going to learn that until you take those first steps on the journey. And I think it's, there's a lot of vices that can be associated with bartending and with alcohol and bars. And, at the end of the day, if you enjoy what you're doing and you understand that your goal is not to like get people drunk, but it is to make sure that the guest has the best experience that they can have while they're at your bar, and they leave being like, wow, I really had a great time, and I loved that drink so much, I'm going to come back and get it again. I think consistency and excellence breeds repeat customers. That's more of like a managerial thing.
Well, it's awesome because you're starting to step into that role as well.
That is true.
Well, Dominic, thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, no problem.
I really appreciated your insight. You have a great way of articulating, the experiences that you're going through, and I think the people, because we want to share this with a few people. I think they'll benefit from understanding a little bit of the mindset of someone who's new, who's kind of in it, but is achieving some early success because of the
Mhm.
work that they're putting in. So, as always, thank you for the work that you're putting in.
Absolutely.
Like I said, hopefully we can have this conversation again when you get to that next
Yeah,
level,
yeah.
which will be good. But no, super excited for you. We're wishing you the best, the happy new year,
Awesome. Thank
and
you so
much
much.
success.
Awesome. Well, happy New Year to you too, and I will gladly update you on the next the next step of the journey when I get there.
Awesome,
So.
my man.